Huh?
I have before. I've taken a. I've asked a woman to out
Darwin,
before, and I
stop it.
couldn't take
How
her
many
to.
times?
I
How
couldn't
many
take her
times
to.
do you complain about women standards being way too high and not making the adjustments? You
I'm a
don't complain
PhD.
about that on a regular basis.
I
On
had
a
a lot.
regular basis.
I had a
Do you
lot
complain
today.
about that on a regular basis about how women's standards are
I'm,
unrealistic? Yes or no?
okay, so we're having a conversation outside of the conversation.
Okay, got it. Never mind.
I had a
You don't want
lot.
to go there. All I'm telling you is that it kind of kills your
No,
entire
it didn't. I heard
theology.
everything he said. I heard it make my argument. The only
No,
thing that
it absolutely didn't, because you can't convince women to be able to do that. They're not going to want to
Yeah,
do
you
that.
can.
They're not going to do
I
that.
can.
No, you can't.
I
No,
have.
you can't.
And I think,
Are
man,
you saying you can?
okay,
Let's
well,
take the
you
average
gotta
guy
let me
who's
respond if you
5'9",
want.
average looking, and then now we want to tell now we're going to tell her, okay, yeah, we're going to survive off of this one meager salary, right? No, it's not going to go like that. Women
tell
will
me
not
that-
follow you there.
Yes,
Most women will not
yes, and
follow you
yes.
there.
Okay, you keep saying no, and I'm trying to tell you yes.
So I was looking at the numbers in the back while they was talking. It said that only like 17 to 18% of people, black people, is below the poverty line. So that means 81% are above the poverty line. Now that doesn't mean people wealthy and balling, but they're above the poverty line, so they can afford to have kids. And if you not gonna have a luxury lifestyle though, but life finds a way. A lot of people don't come from perfect two-parent wealthy homes where they had the birthdays they wanted with the car they wanted and the vacations they wanted and all those things. While that's nice and aspirational, when we talking about existence and creating people and all of this stuff, being able to take vacation shouldn't be the determining factor in if you're going to have a family or not. And you should be very clear about that is your aspiration with the woman you meet. So what Darwin said earlier about living on one income becomes realistic. Like Ms. Taken said she was able to do, becomes realistic. Even though it's not a lot of money, if one person can survive on it, two people can survive on that same thing in that same space, especially if they're married, right? They're in the same bed. So that cuts down on a lot of that expense. If you have one child, then yeah, you have to increase that by one room or two from there. But the idea that we all have to be rich in order to have families, it's not necessarily real, nor has it ever been the paradigm before this. A lot of us had one parent, no parents, or some people. And if you did have parents that were struggling, you might have figured it might have made you more ingenious. It might have, there are disparities, and it can lead to some people falling victim to the system. But the majority of us are not in jail. It's a small percentage. So I think we could push ourselves into a position where we act as population control, like we said in the chat, for our own selves by saying, hey, we're not in a position to exist. When I'm never going to mention nobody else in the world, but the standard of life we have in America is higher than a lot of places. And to judge what you can do in America in relation to what wealthy people can do in America, it's just not how we should operate.
It's unfair.
We need to just be realistic and look at what we have going on and figure out how that can help each individual. How you like as a community, I do think that there need to be financial plans. Like, how you saying like a financial literacy, Darwin? There needs to be hell, I might even create this shit. An app that you put in how much you earn, and then it show you what you can afford, how you need to save, and how to map out how you can get your down payment or apply for the mortgage assistance program and get a reasonable credit history so you can start moving towards the path to home ownership. Then if you don't make enough to qualify for a home on your own, maybe you create a trust where your family plus your sister's family plus your brother's family all pay into one account, and then you have shares within the home. So then y'all can qualify for this mortgage as that trust or as that entity or whatever. So all y'all income could be counted in some way, or create creative financing techniques. Now I'm all for the things like that, but we can't push the idea of creating life away just because they're not going to be able to go to Disneyland every other year. I think that's
no. I don't think it should be pushed away.
So Marcus,
I think you should
just
start early.
you just kind of killed Darwin's argument, and I'm gonna tell you why.
No, he didn't.
When I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you exactly why. Because Darwin, you're the same cat
I
that
can't wait to hear
complained
this. Let's go.
about how women's expectations are so crazy, right? And you can't take a chick to Applebee's or Cheesecake Factory for a first date. She's over here making money, and you're gonna convince this woman that you're gonna live in humility now. That's
Hold on.
crazy.
Who said
No,
anything about taking a
goes.
woman to Applebee's?
Do you know how'd you miss that? All I said was that if you can't take a woman to Applebee's or the Cheesecake Factory for a first date because their standards are so high, what makes you think that you're going to be able to take a woman and then expose her to humility? Okay, now we're not going to do vacations.
I can and I have.
Huh?
I have before. I've asked a woman to out.
Darwin,
before,
stop
and I
it.
couldn't take
How
her
many
to-
times?
I
How many
couldn't take her
times
to-
do you complain about women standards being way too high and not making the adjustments? You
I'm a
don't complain
PhD.
about that on a regular basis.
I
On
had
a
a
regular
lot.
basis.
I had a
Do you
lot
complain
today.
about that on a
complain-
regular basis about how women's standards are unrealistic? Yes or no?
Okay, so we're having a conversation outside of the conversation. I've
Okay, got
had.
it. Never mind.
I had
you
a
don't want
lot.
to go there. All I'm telling you is that it kind of kills your
No,
entire.
it didn't. I heard
theology.
everything he said. I heard him make my argument. The only
No,
thing that
it
he-
absolutely
only thing-
didn't, because you can't convince women to be able to do that. They're not going to want to
Yeah,
do
you
that.
can.
They're not going to do
I
that.
can.
No, you can't.
I
No,
have.
you can't.
And I think,
Are
man,
you saying you can?
Okay,
Let's
well,
take
you
the
gotta
average
let
guy
me
who's
respond if you
5'9",
want-
average looking, and then now we want to tell. Now we're going to tell her, okay, yeah, we're going to survive off of this one meager salary, right? No, it's not going
Yeah.
to go like that. Women
tell
will
me
not
that-
follow you there.
yes,
Most women
yes,
will not
yes, and
follow you
yes.
there.
Okay,
Oh,
you keep saying no,
God.
and I'm trying to tell you yes. You could say no 100 times. I'm still gonna say yes. You can convince a woman to survive under your salary.
Then why do you
probably
spend
can't
time
do it.
convincing women if it's so easy for the men to convince a woman?
Okay, well, let me just do this first. And White said the only thing, I don't even think M. White really had pushback, but I think he shed light on the
He
fact
wasn't
that you
trying to
shouldn't-
push back,
Damn, I can't
but
even.
inadvertently did. But go ahead.
No, what I'm saying is M. White shed
Oh.
light on the fact that you shouldn't prolong creating life because you don't have it. I get it. I think, or because you didn't have it right. I'm saying start young. I think we should put the horse before the cart, so to speak. Start young and do it right, and then build a family young. I'm not saying wait till late. I fundamentally believe if most people practice financial literacy, you didn't have to wait. Oh, go ahead, Mike.
I got one point I want to add to that. I'm sorry, Darwin. In regards to the financial literacy, I think the biggest part of that, the most money I ever saved in my life was when I felt I did not have to look like the man at all times and prove anything to anybody. I think that therapy, where you get to a place earlier and mature earlier, where you don't feel the necessity to compete with the Joneses or appear a certain way on the internet, will save all of that that month-to-month credit card debt and a lot of those other things. A lot of that stuff is rooted in proving stuff to other people. Once you stop caring, then you really can actually save, or you can live your lifestyle. But if you basing it on how other people see you, it's going to keep you in debt. And I think that could be done through therapy or with mentors or elders, but it has to be done because you have to have the ability to just really not give a fuck.
I agree, and to this notion that a man. See, the thing is, when a woman, and I'm glad Trev shed light on this. This whole notion about a woman not willing to go to a particular restaurant because she feel like her standards are too high. That's one of the number one issues that's plaguing men too, because what men are doing is acquiescing to her standards and said, although I can't afford to do this, in order to fulfill the outcome I want with you, I'm going to do it anyway, even if it breaks me. And that is a breach of financial literacy, right, in White? Because financial literacy wouldn't allow you to put your desired, the fleshly desires with the woman over your pocketbook.
To some extent, yeah.
It would tell you, oh, look, this is against all the principles that I fucking uphold financially. Why would it? But you got guys out here doing exactly what you just exposed, Trev. I'm glad you said. They're saying, oh, well, I can't. I gotta fucking compromise my finances. That's not financial literacy. That's against it. That's breaching it.
No, you're right about that, but that wasn't my point. My point is they can reject that, but then they're going to
Okay,
have
then what
no
if she
women
ain't for
to
you?
even be able to take out of the workforce, is what I'm saying.
What are
Because
we
there's not
always
enough
saying,
women
White?
who
If
are.
a woman don't want to get on your program, what? And if a woman, and what's the other thing you said? If a woman like you,
Then she'll deal with a lot.
we've
Damn.
seen women
I was
who
gonna
like a
say-
man literally,
Yeah, but
lower all kind of
then
things.
we also all
In the
refer to
dirt,
the
in the
80-20 rule,
trash.
don't we? Do you
I
not believe in
would-
the 80-20 rule, Darwin? Do you
I
do
would say
yes
the
or no?
vast majority of women who are making decent salary will not quit their job with a man that is making less than her and living on that one salary. Because for most women, whatever lifestyle they currently have, and I don't mean it has to be extravagant or nothing like that. Whatever lifestyle they currently are at, they're looking for a man that either matches that or is above that. So to say that now, I'm not saying, again, we look at that scale, the bell curve or whatever. Vast majority of women are not going to do that, right? There are
As they
going to be
should.
some outliers that absolutely will, but most women are not going to have a lifestyle that's comfortable and then meet a guy and decide that, you know what, I'd rather my lifestyle be much more below what I currently have. They're not.
Right.
I agree with that.
Let me clarify. I wasn't saying that they was
comfortable lifestyle, so that's not an issue.
Yeah, the point I was making was even if she was working, that they live on that one salary, and I wasn't saying that she don't
exactly.
Need to work. I was just saying that they need to be able to live on one salary as a part of financial.
Live on one salary,
so they can afford what they're getting. And if the event came where somebody gets hurt or they have children, then she can step back and they would have amassed enough money.
Thank you.
And if they've been together long enough, they might even have compound interest working for them by that time. And then
so
they
you're
really
saying
have something
if she's making more money, then everybody should live on her salary.
No.
And
his salary.
I would say live under the man's salary.
Yeah, because if she had the baby and had to go to work, whatever he could afford may be extended. You see what I'm saying?
Like, sense for him to put away his checks, and she's making more money, she could take care of the household.
No.
Okay, if
so
I'm making
use her check to say.
Hold on, let me give you an example so then you can explain it to me the right way. So let's say I'm making 60,000. He makes 30,000. Together we have 90, right? You're saying it would be better to try to live on the 30 and put away my money.
Yeah, put away. Yep.
And the reason I'm saying that, mistaken. The reason I'm saying that is this.
Good luck. Good luck.
Let me just tell you the reason I'm saying.
We don't care about luck.
Because
telling you what's
in
right
the event that you have a complications with your pregnancy and you all are on an extended period of time where you're living off the salary that he makes, that may be the only thing you have for a long time. So you want to make sure that you can live off of whatever that is. And having all those extra savings could put y'all in a great position. And then, like I say, 7 years later, you doubled that money and you could just keep doubling it. And maybe y'all can retire early. Or maybe you can tap into the money by then. But when you're of age where you could potentially have a pregnancy that puts you at risk, or you need to be with your children, or anything happens where maybe one person can't work anymore, you want to make sure that the man's salary, who probably be the primary person to have the least likelihood of something happen to his body based on the pregnancy, can sustain it. And that's why you understand why I'm making that point?
Yeah, but what I was thinking, and then you can correct me in terms of what you were saying. What I was thinking is that it makes more sense, whatever the highest salary is to use that salary because it can cover all of the expenses. And then the one that's making less, they just keep banking at. So like you said, if a major catastrophe happened, we've been together, let's say 10 years, and he's been putting away $30,000, every year, we'll have a $300,000, you know what I'm saying, amount, and that would take care of a catastrophe versus doing the other
I think that
way.
depends on where a person is. Like if you're like 5 years away from, your pension, or I think it just depends on. I'm just saying. I think it just depends on like where you are in your career. If say you've been in your career for like 20 years and you're getting ready to retire and you just now meet a man and you guys kind of are trying to just figure these things out. But I was going to say I think the right man could for sure. Well, the right man that comes in a woman's life, she will for sure follow his lead. She will for sure. We talked about how certain women will do all types of things for a bag. When the right man is leading in a certain way and she sees that he's offering that provision for her, I'm pretty sure she will definitely,
you know how I know it can work. I seen Spanish people come over here fucking climbing through swamps, alligators and shit, and able to do it way less than 50,000 with fucking a wife and 2 kids and all kind of shit. And do it. I know black people can do it. I believe black people can do it. I just don't know why there's this rhetoric saying that they can't, and I just don't understand it mathematically. Whenever we factor in financial literacy and the woman being compromising, I think MY said it right, and it kind of made mistake and kind of taken away whenever we mentioned that the lifestyle might not be what you want it to be. That's the things that we have to point to. If
Yeah,
people don't
I'm
want to
not
talk
gonna
about
live in the hood when I can have a home. I mean, because I grew up like that's the thing. I grew up in the hood, and once we actually moved out, that set the standard.
What age was that?
For me.
What age was that?
When I'm 14, I was starting high school. That
You
was
moved out. You moved out the hood on your own.
No, I'm talking about my parents. So when I was growing up, that's where I lived. I'm from Yonkers. So we ended up moving upstate to Peekskill when I started high school, right? So for me, my goal, especially when I decided I wanted to have kids, that wasn't going to be where I started raising my kids. I wanted to have a home at some point. I'm not going to go and live if I'm living in a $30,000 salary. There's but so many places that I'm gonna be able to afford, and more than likely, I will be in an unsafe neighborhood to live off of $30,000. So if I am in a position there, I'm making 60, it doesn't make sense that I would live in an unsafe area just for the sake of saying financial literacy. I have to think about safety first. Is that a place where my kids are going to be safe? No.
Did the conversation shift from 18-year-olds to grown people?
It was both. If we're talking about having kids, I would think you would be grown when you're having a kid. Or at least should be.
What me and Dharma was talking about is to get young men to get their wives out of the workforce. They have to start their career early off in their life. So if they start their career off earlier, 18 to 28, they will be able to accumulate thoughts, money, experience where they could possibly take their woman out of the workforce, especially if they do it together. They get together and then they wait 5 to 6 years before they have children because they have time and they could accumulate a bunch of money, resources, and experience. They will be able to remove their wife from out the workforce, is what me and Dharma was talking about. So now when we turn it into grown folks, when we talk about the 30s and up, and that changes the conversation. Nobody's, like Dharma said, nobody's expecting grown folks to start walking backwards and say, "Oh, now I get it."
That's the whole argument we was fighting against. People are trying to get the people that are already in shit to backpedal out of it. I'm saying I get it. You can still get people to backpedal, but it's more easier to target people that's trying to go into the shit and say, "Hey, look, you don't have to go into the shit just because everybody else going into the shit." And of course, they would have to listen to somebody who's already done it. I can't think. I've been at the fucking very bottom, bro, man. Some of the shit I came out of as a kid, bro, the worst of the worst. I had a fucking single auntie. I wish I was raised by a single mother. Think about being raised by the auntie, the sister. Of course, she's gonna treat her kids better. Shit, I can't Think how far the bottom you can fucking go, bro. Yeah, I didn't have college and all that shit. I had to go to the military. Then I went to college after that. But I'm saying it wasn't going to stop me from reaching the goal. That's why I said there's a desired outcome that men have to have. They have to have a picture in mind of what they want. And we can argue that a lot of these guys don't have a picture in their mind. They're just going with the flow. And they'll even tell that to the girl they busting down. Let's just take it one day at a time. So, I mean, if you can change that mindset, you can change a lot. It just don't mathematically make sense that we could say that if most of our black kids came out financial literate, that the numbers won't change on the other end. It will change. It has to, because it's almost like saying that if you don't, we could put a full tank of gas in the car and it won't get you 300 miles. No, it will. If you drive it 300 miles, it will get you 300 miles if you put a full tank in it. So we can't say if you put a full tank, you still won't make it. No, come on. If you teach them in a way to where it deters from the direction they go, that you have to expect them to go in the right direction and deal with it with a reason why they're not going in the right direction when we cross the bridge. But we can't just say that we ain't gonna do it because in reality, no. Let's see what happens if we make the change. And I fundamentally believe we got all types of resources for black people that we're not using the right way. Like, and I always point out the church. People don't like that, but I got to point out the church. The church should be teaching financial fucking literacy. I think they need to take a 10-year break off of the Bible. Just put the Bibles, lock the Bibles up. I'm not against God or anything like that.
The Bible actually teaches financial literacy as well.
And just focus on finances every fucking Sunday and do revival every week until you freaking get it right. I think that'll make a drastic change, and then you can go back into the Bible.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. Like, it'd probably teach you financial literacy, and
they will shut the churches down if they heard that black people was being taught financial literacy in the church. They'll take away the 5113. Oh, we taking the 5113C away.
Wouldn't need it.
Just imagine